It's Liz Larson with the Cogno Movement Systems and also Transform One Idea. So, my personal motto is, if you don't already know me, is that the smallest shift can create the biggest change. Why do I say that? Well, because it's the truth, for one, and that it's always the tiniest shift in perspective that changes everything. Think about this, for example. Think about when they discovered that it was germs that make us sick. That germs or bacteria basically could make us sick, and that if we wash things or sterilize them, then we didn't get sick. That one literally tiny microscopic idea changed the world forever. It's a simple shift in perspective that it wasn't demons or bad luck that made us sick, but actually biology and something we had control over. So when I say the smallest shift creates the biggest change, it's really true, and it's true in our everyday life. If we can shift even the smallest perspective, we can open up our world in a way that was never possible before. It's funny because in private session and in classes, Bill and I will say, what else is possible? What else is possible here that was never possible before? What was possible now? What's possible now that wasn't possible 5 minutes before the session started? So things we're seeing changing dramatically and instantly. So that's what this live is about. This morning, I got a call from one of our amazing practitioners, so smart. Our practitioners are the most amazing people on the planet. They really are. And she shared with me something that she had believed at one time in her life, and that one of her clients had reflected, and I realized it was something that we kind of needed to address. So this is what the client said, and I'm going to bleep out or shorten one of the words, but I want to use her words because I want to share with you how impactful, this question was. And the question was, are we effing with karma? Are we doing something wrong here? Okay, so I have to back up just a little and talk about the method that we're using. But please stay with me. This isn't a sales pitch on our method. It's really a conversation about a deeper idea that we hold when we're talking about changing our lives or making our lives better. So are we effing with karma when we delete problems out of our physical system? So we use the Cognomovement system, which at its core activates the left and right side of the brain, harmonizes the left and right side of the body. We're talking about the nervous system here, the electrochemical pathways through our system, and that we have patterns in our system that actually create the problems in our lives. They keep us cycling in thoughts and in physical discomfort. Another one of our amazing practitioners, who's also a therapist, Marina Ray, said this the other day, that a problem from the past only continues to be a problem because we feel it today. Huge, 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 right? We only perceive problems because we feel them in our bodies. Our bodies feel them to alert us that there might be a problem, something we need to be aware of, that we need to have our adrenal system activated for, like the lion on our butt, right? But that lion on our butt may be a problem from 10, 15, 20, 30, 70 years ago that still is active in our physical body today. And that's the thing that we call a pattern. That Cognomovement, the method that we use, can delete. Are there other ways to delete patterns out of our systems? Yes. Sometimes they happen automatically with a tiny shift. Sometimes they happen through years and years and years of meditation. Sometimes they happen during exercise. And sometimes they just happen for no reason. But we figured out a way to do it on purpose in a few minutes. So that's what this person was asking. Are we effing with karma when we delete something out of our system, a pattern, a persistent problem? So the idea is, what are they talking about? What are they talking about, this karma idea? In this case, there's a huge idea about what karma is. But what they're really talking about in this question is our need to suffer, our need to work through, trudge through the muck of a problem until finally we find a solution or we die trying. So the question is rooted in an idea, a belief that if we can shift this one idea today, it might change everything in your world. So the idea is that we're here on the planet to suffer. We're here on the planet to work through quote unquote lessons, and that we keep getting those lessons again and again until we figure them out, until we make amends, until we bear that cross, so to say. So it's the idea that we are supposed to, like someone out there greater than ourselves is expecting us to suffer to some point in time when they say, okay, you've suffered enough, and now I grant you peace on that issue. So my question would be, how's that working for you? For most of us, that works not at all. We just continue to suffer. And then most of us, especially those of us in the ascension, awakening, metaphysical, spiritual, self-help, self-development world, will say that we're being given, this is a gift. This problem is a gift. We're being given it to solve it and to grow our ascension. Sorry, guys, I know I'm being a tiny bit sarcastic, but it's true, and I've been there as well. We believe this, that we make up stories about our problems to justify having them because we just don't know what else to do with them. So why would you be able to change your perspective on this? Is it true or not true? So really, people can believe anything they want, and what is true is what's happening in your environment, in your life right now. And this whole subject of ascension or enlightenment or awakening or raising our consciousness really boils down to one thing. And that one thing is, how is your life working out? When you've had a big awakening or a big awareness, and it's a true awakening or awareness, your life becomes easier. Why? Because you don't have the same problems that you had before. Your life has changed and your awareness has changed. You have a greater awareness of the world and of what's really happening and how to control those problems in your life, or how to be neutral to them. That's really the most important thing, and that's a story for another day. So what we're addressing is these big problems, these big grand problems. What are they? When we boil them down, they're how we feel about how our life is working out. And you'll say, no, my problem is real. It's real. I'm having a problem with this person in my life. They're a very important person in my life. I've had that same problem for 49 years, and they need to change for me to feel better. Okay, so here is the concept, and I know that it can be a little tough to get your mind around, and this is why this question came up. Are we effing with karma? Is this the right thing to do, or is it even possible to simply delete the way you feel about that problem and for it to change immediately? And I can tell you, we've seen it again and again and again. And those of us who are using this system or any other system to delete a pattern instantly, when you stop the pattern in your physical body, and what I mean in the most basic terms is you stop feeling the way you feel about it, not in your mind, not at all, but in your body. You stop the pattern of the body believing this is a fight or flight situation. When that stops, immediately the body feels better. It's free of that pattern of discomfort, of worry, of stress, of real physical problem. The body instantly stops it because now we've told it, hey, we don't actually need that program anymore. We don't need to be protected from that issue anymore. So we're going to stop running that problem of worry and and stress and suffering and illness. So when we stop that pattern, we don't feel that way anymore. And now guess what happens? Now the world opens up. Remember I was talking about the bacteria and how the minute we realized that it was bacteria that was making us sick and not, evil, right? Everything changed and we had so much more control. Well, the same thing happens when you delete the pattern, the physical pattern in your body of stress and discomfort. When you delete it, now all of a sudden the world opens up. Here's the thing. Now you have access to all the solutions for that problem. One of the biggest things that happens is all of a sudden it's not a problem anymore. You're like, dang it. I've been worrying about that for 49 years and that is not even the truth. That's not even what happened. That happens a lot. Our perspectives get dug in. We see it from one point of view. When you delete the program or the pattern around it, the feeling is what I'm saying, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, okay. So now there's that solution. And now actually I have all these perspectives and I realize I'm in the middle of that perspective. If I change me, the whole thing changes. And what we've seen is that all of a sudden at the end of a session, and I mean instantly at the end of a session, a person's perspective changes completely simply because they deleted the pattern out of their body. And they'll get a call from that person, the biggest person in their life that is causing them trouble, and the person will apologize or be doing something exactly the opposite of what they normally do. Here's the trick. We sort of hold people in these patterns. We're pretty powerful that way. We hold people in the pattern and from the perspective that we see them. So it appears that all of a sudden they've changed, like a miracle happened. It does feel like that, but it really isn't. What we've changed is our perspective, our view, and we've stopped holding them in the pattern. Now, here's the quote unquote karma thing. Have we learned the lesson? Yeah. Because now we know that the lesson is in a different book than we were reading. That's just it. We see these problems for what we believe they are based on a protective pattern by our own physiology. And then when it's deleted, when we just remove it, the same way we delete something from our computer, now everything works differently. The world works differently. We've discovered bacteria, right? It's exactly like that. So it comes to the question of, are we doing something wrong in our overall ascension, our overall growth? And from my perspective, and you have to have your own, but from my perspective is absolutely not. We're simply giving our bodies and our minds and our higher self the ability to see a much greater view of what's really going on. And more than that, we just feel better, right? We just don't have that sick feeling in our stomach or that pain in our shoulder or in the neck or in our back that was associated with an ongoing emotional pattern and problem. So if you're kind of getting the idea here or not, I know it can be confusing, this idea of patterns, but they really run our life. Everything we do is a simple pattern that we've learned. We're creatures of habit. We know that. And we've heard that, 95 or 99% of our psyche or subconscious runs everything we're doing. Well, that's what I'm talking about. But we've broken it down into the idea of just a pattern, just a loop that runs in the body. Imagine a film loop that plays again and again from the beginning to the end, from the end to the beginning, around and around and around. That's what happens in our system. And they're just a way for the body to protect us. And it thinks it works. Maybe it does for a while. But when you're ready to be done with it, now we know we've discovered bacteria that you can delete it. And that's what we're doing. And it opens up the world. I have to say, my husband, who is not usually a wise sage, maybe he is and I haven't recognized it, said something to me the other day. I was trying to work out a problem, not a problem, I was trying to find a solution to something in the Cogno Movement business. And I was finding myself a little stressed, which is one of my own patterns. And he said, look, if you let off the gas just a little, the wheels will engage and you'll stop spinning your wheels. And I thought, dang it, that's smart. And it's true. We do this thing of pushing through these problems, powering through them, wading through up to waist level the muck. And we actually believe that it's heroic. We sort of believe in suffering. And if we do what he says and we kind of let off the gas, we slow down. It's an off-roading metaphor he's using. We slow down, the wheels engage, and we actually get traction. And that slowing down is that deleting of a problem. It's that backing off that push and simply allowing it to be gone in our physical body. And then we no longer project it out onto everyone else and out into the universe. This is another thing. Our bodies are just really great projectors of our physio-emotional, psychological feeling. We project it out, and that's what we get back. That's what our reality is. So when people say, no, these problems are real or true, yeah, they are. Because it's what we're projecting out of ourselves. It's how we feel. It's not on purpose. It's not dumb. It's not silly. It's not even ignorant. It's just the nature of things. So when we learn how to stop projecting that same pattern for the same problem, and we have something brand new, a brand new wide open perspective, and it's instant. We learn that you don't have to learn these things. You don't have to spend days or weeks or months or 100 years in meditation. It's simply a function. It's a technology that simply deletes that pattern for you. And what's interesting is that it also connects with a lot of other deeper patterns sometimes. A lot of times they're all sort of connected. The body's like, okay, if I'm going to protect against this, this is related to that, and I better protect against that too. And that's related to that, so I better protect against that too. And after a while, our nervous systems are constantly running all of these programs of anxiety, basically. Watch over there, watch over there, watch over there, watch your back. Let's keep ourselves aware at all times, including in the middle of the night, of all these problems. We say it's kind of like having all of your neighbors plugged in with extension cords to your power system, right? And all we're literally doing is unplugging this one, unplugging that one. Now, here's what's bigger than all of that. What's bigger than all of it is that once we unplug these patterns out of our system or our problems, we just imagine you've unplugged one, you get that energy back. Now it's yours to use. Now we get that boost in consciousness, awareness, and life starts to work better. Guys, that's the big secret. Enlightenment is not angels and harps and rainbows. It's actually that your life starts to work much better and that you are able to experience joy. We shift our focus onto joy, peace, bliss, love. It's not unicorns and rainbows. Your life doesn't look like that, but your life works smoother. You are able to project to the people and to the universe around you this, what feels like a higher consciousness, and it truly is, but it's softer. It's more neutral. It's with less single-minded perspective. It really is a more universal perspective, and everything becomes easier. So, back to the original question. By deleting problems rather than powering through them, are we effing with karma? Are we doing something wrong? And from my humble perspective, and from those who've experienced this work, absolutely not. We're literally opening up the pathway to see more, to do more, to be more. So If this is something that interests you, you might like our free ebook on the cognomovement.com website, which is called Suffering is Optional. We kind of walk through these ideas with some proofs and some testing and some really fantastic stories about people who have experienced this. Lots of them really do look like miracles, and in their lives they truly are, but they're nothing more than a function of being able to and having the awareness of deleting an old pattern out of the body. So that's free. Go to cognomovement.com and you can download that or just watch it on your screen, watch it, read it, and find out more about this idea of how it's possible to change your everything by just changing the patterns. If you're interested in finding more about the Cogno Movement system that I've been talking about that we use to delete patterns, come to Cogno Movement. There's lots of free stuff. We also have a basic training course, lots of great information. So I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I know people have lots of opinions about suffering and karma and patterns and what's possible. So share with me what you think about this idea. And I'm sure there'll be more to come. I think this is a really fascinating conversation, and I want to thank our amazing practitioner who called me this morning to let me know that this is something people are thinking about, and I think it's fun to think about as well. So again, I'm Liz Larson with the Cogno Movement System and Transform One Idea. Have a great day, guys, and start to think about where you're choosing suffering or where the possibility might be that you could just flat out delete it. All right, talk soon. See y'all later.